Echoes of static. Echoes of static. Imagine the silence of the desert, the hiss of cosmic noise. Now imagine a sound within that silence, a whisper that defies all explanation. Find a quiet place, put on your headphones, and dive into the mystery. This is Echoes of Static, Part 1. Liam Crow believed the best way to forget was to run. He ran from the ghosts of his past, from the quiet voice in his head whispering about loss, from the memory of Sarah's eyes brimming with tears the day he left Boston. He traded the rain-slicked streets of the city for the silent, sun-scorched emptiness of the Nevada desert. He found a job as the caretaker of a decommissioned radio astronomy observatory called Serenity. It was the perfect place for a hermit. Dust, scorching air, and giant, rusted telescope dishes frozen in a silent scream at the sky. His only link to the outside world was a spotty satellite internet connection. Evenings were spent listening to the static noise of the universe, a white noise that was supposed to be soothing. But sometimes something else slipped through, like tonight. As the purple shadows of the desert swallowed the last rays of the sun, Liam poured himself coffee. He sat before the receiver panel and put on his headphones. First, it was all as usual, hissing, crackling. A monotone hum. He was about to take the headphones off when suddenly, silence. Absolute, unnatural silence. No hiss, no crackle. That never happened. It was a physical impossibility. Space is never silent. And then, from the very depth of that artificial silence, a sound emerged. Not a random signal, not interference. It was music. Complex, intricate, built on mathematical sequences that his mind, the mind of a mathematician, recognized instantly. It was both beautiful and soul-chilling. He froze, afraid to move, afraid to scare the phenomenon away. The music lasted exactly 37 seconds. Then it cut off as suddenly as it had begun, replaced by the familiar cosmic noise. Liam tore off the headphones, his heart hammering wildly in his chest. He looked around the control room. All indicators glowed a steady green, no malfunctions. He checked the equipment, the logs, the external sensors. Nothing. The dryness in his mouth and the tremor in his fingers told him one thing. This was not a hallucination. He didn't sleep all night, trying to replicate the recording. But the system had saved nothing but the usual hiss. He rummaged through the archives, checking old data. He stumbled upon a folder marked Classified Project Geryon. Access was blocked by a multi-layered password. This was strange. The observatory was decommissioned and forgotten. Why were there secret files here? The next night, he kept watch by the receivers with a new obsession. And at 3:17 a.m., the silence repeated. This time it wasn't a musical fragment. It was a voice, pure, clear, devoid of any static. A female voice. It spoke one word.
Listening.
Liam recoiled from the console as if he'd been shocked. He was sober and completely alone for miles around. The voice didn't sound in the headphones, but rather behind them, right in his consciousness. The next few days blurred into a fog of insomnia and obsession. He lived for those moments of silence followed by messages. Sometimes they were fragments of conversations he didn't understand. Sometimes mathematical formulas of such complexity it took his breath away. He felt like both a pioneer and an intruder, eavesdropping on a conversation across the cosmos. He started to answer. First, hesitantly, into the microphone. Then just mentally, feeling foolish, like a child talking into an imaginary phone.
Who are you?
He whispered into the quiet of the control room.
Where are you from?
There was no answer. Only new, fragmented pieces. He felt like a scientist trying to assemble a picture of the universe from the shards of a broken mirror. One day, when the sun was mercilessly hot, a dust cloud appeared on the horizon. An SUV the color of khaki was driving towards the observatory. Liam grew wary. Visitors were an extreme rarity here. A woman got out of the car. She looked to be in her 30s. She wore practical pants and a white shirt with rolled-up sleeves. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She squinted in the sun, and her posture exuded a businesslike confidence. She introduced herself as Dr. Ava Collins, an astrophysicist from Stanford.
The university is taking an interest in Serenity's old equipment,
She said.
confidently extending her hand for a handshake. We want to assess its condition for potential repurposing. Can you give me a tour?
Her smile was too flawless, her eyes too observant. They scanned everything, memorizing, evaluating. Liam, accustomed to solitude, felt a pang of anxiety. He nodded weakly and led her around the complex, showing her the rusting dishes and empty labs. He felt her gaze on him.
And you're out here all alone?
She asked, peering into the control room.
Must be pretty boring.
Quiet.
He corrected.
I value the quiet.
Quiet?
She smiled again.
A strange glint flashed in her eyes. I always thought space was a rather noisy place, especially on these frequencies.
He remained silent. Something was off about her. She was asking too many of the right questions. That evening, as she was preparing to leave, a sandstorm blew in. The roads became impassable instantly. Ava shrugged with feigned regret.
Looks like I'll have to abuse your hospitality, Mr. Crow.
The night spent under one roof with a stranger was tense. Liam was on edge. He tried to work, but her presence constrained him. She, however, seemed to be having a fine time, studying the bookshelves and old journals. The signal came deep in the night, more powerful than ever. Liam was sitting in a chair, pretending to doze. Then the familiar feeling of emptiness washed over him. Silence. And then a voice, full of despair and hope at the same time, broke directly into his mind.
They are looking for me. They are close. Help.
He gasped and opened his eyes. Ava was standing in the doorway. She wasn't asleep. There was no trace of surprise or sleepiness on her face. Only cold, collected concentration. In her hand was a small gadget, like a tablet. Its screen displayed frantic, jumping graphs.
So that's what it's like,
She said quietly.
looking not at him, but through him. Direct neurocoherent contact. Garyon wasn't wrong.
Liam jumped to his feet.
What? What does that mean? Who are you?
I am Dr. Collins.
She replied, finally looking at him.
Her eyes were hard. But I don't work for Stanford. I'm with DARPA. And you, Mr. Crow, have just confirmed our long-standing hypothesis. Congratulations. You have made contact with an intelligent, extratemporal entity. And now it is in mortal danger. And so are we.
The sandstorm howled outside, wailing in tune with the rising panic in Liam's chest. His quiet refuge had collapsed in an instant. Part 2. The silence in the hangar was heavier than the desert heat. Liam stood frozen, the cold gaze of the rifle barrels pinning him in place. Ava's hands were raised, but her eyes were locked on her tablet, her mind racing behind a mask of calm defiance. One of the operatives took another step forward, his face obscured by shadows and tactical gear. His voice was a low, impatient growl.
The data. Now. This is your last chance to do this the easy way.
Liam's heart was a frantic drum against his ribs, but beneath the fear, something else was stirring. The presence in his mind, the wayfarer, was no longer a whisper. It was a vast, humming equilibrium. It felt like standing next to an ocean, feeling its incredible calm power. And then the light changed, all the headlights on the jeeps outside. the emergency lighting in the hangar, even the indicators on the operative's tactical gear. They dimmed. They didn't go out. They faded to a smoldering, barely noticeable glow, as if all the energy had been suddenly sucked out of the surrounding space. In the ensuing gloom, only heavy breathing could be heard. The operatives glanced at each other nervously. The barrels of their rifles wavered.
What's happening? The generator?
One of them muttered. But it wasn't the generator. The air began to tremble and ring, as if millions of invisible strings had been plucked simultaneously. Shadows crept from the darkened corners of the hangar. They streamed along the walls, defying the laws of physics, merging into complex, geometrically precise patterns. They resembled either schematics or unknown scripts. The Wayfarer's voice sounded in Liam's head. This time it was not alone. It was a choir, an echo, a voice speaking to itself from different points in time.
They are not enemies. They are blind. Show them. Show them what they are looking for.
Liam didn't think. He acted on instinct. He slowly, very slowly, lowered his hand. He took the tablet from Ava. She, mesmerized by what was happening, didn't resist. He turned to the operatives, holding the device in front of him like a shield. On its screen, with no intervention, the data transmitted by the Wayfarer came to life. Schematics swirled, equations rearranged in real time, forming a three-dimensional holographic projection that flickered in the air between them. It was a blueprint, but not of a machine. It was a map, a topology of distorted space-time, a tunnel, a bridge leading to nowhere and everywhere at once.
Do you want this?
Liam's voice was louder than he expected.
And surprisingly firm. Here it is, the power you want to control. It doesn't obey orders. It can only be asked.
The lead operative, the one who had spoken first, lowered his barrel a few centimeters. His eyes, now visible in the ghostly light of the hologram, showed not fear, but stunned bewilderment. Their mission was to capture the scientists and confiscate data, not to confront this. Suddenly, the trembling in the air stopped. The shadows on the walls melted away as if they had never been there. The light from the headlights and flashlights flared back to full brightness, making everyone blink. The hologram vanished. Deafening normality returned. The operative seemed to be fighting with himself. His mission contradicted what he had just witnessed. The radio on his shoulder crackled hoarsely.
Alpha Team, report status. Targets detained?
The man slowly raised the radio to his mouth, still staring at Liam.
Status uncertain. Stand by.
Ava used their confusion. Her voice was fast and quiet, addressed only to Liam and the lead operative.
Your superiors want a weapon. What you just saw is not a weapon, it's a door. And if you try to blow it open, you will destroy everything around you, including yourselves. We are the only ones who can understand how to knock on it.
Liam saw the struggle in the operative's eyes, blind discipline versus a glimpse of something unimaginably greater.
My name is Major Hayes.
He finally said.
His voice lost its previous metallic firmness. My orders are not up for debate.
Your orders are based on a misunderstanding of the situation.
Ava countered.
You just witnessed proof. You can report a failed operation. Or you can help us learn the truth, and possibly save everyone from a catastrophe.
The decision hung by a thread. The second operative shifted nervously from foot to foot. Hayes clenched his fists. The Wayfarer spoke to Liam again, this time softly.
He is afraid, but there is a spark of curiosity in him. Give him an anchor.
Major,
Liam said, taking a step forward.
have you ever looked at the night sky and felt a longing? A feeling that there's something out there we're missing? This is it. And it doesn't mean any harm. It's asking for help.
Hayes froze. His gaze, stern and uncertain, slid over the faces of Liam and Ava, then stared into a dark corner of the hangar, a corner where shadows had danced just seconds before. He took a deep breath.
Evanson,
He barked to his partner.
set up a perimeter watch. Report nothing until I say so.
Then he turned to them.
You have 5 minutes. Explain what the hell is going on here and why I shouldn't be following my orders.
Part 3. The dirt road twisted between the red rocks of Arizona, leading them further and further from civilization. Liam sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window. But he wasn't seeing the landscape. He was seeing an internal map, a map drawn in his mind by the wayfarer. Major Hayes drove in silence, his face a mask of concentration. Ava was in the back seat, trying to get a signal on her tablet. But the screen stubbornly showed no service.
He was sure about a mining town?
Hayes broke the silence.
His eyes fixed on the road. There are dozens in these parts. Abandoned. Forgotten.
He showed me a feeling.
Liam answered slowly.
Tall pine trees, a broken bell tower, and silence. Not like in the desert. A different kind. Deeper.
Sounds like Ghost Canyon,
Hayes said after a pause.
a silver prospector's town, abandoned 100 years ago. There's not even a proper road to it.
That's exactly where we need to go.
Liam nodded with certainty. They turned onto a barely visible track leading into the mountains. The SUV bounced over potholes, kicking up clouds of red dust. All connection to the outside world vanished completely. They were cut off, led deeper into the silence only by the wayfarer. After several exhausting hours, they reached their destination. The town lay before them like a set from a Western movie. Half-rotten cabins, overgrown foundations, a dilapidated chapel with a caved-in roof, and that same bell tower Liam had seen, standing dark and lonely against the evening sky. The air was unusually cool, filled with the scent of pine. And yes, there was that same special silence, heavy and full of expectation.
Good place to hide.
Evanson joked grimly, checking the perimeter.
Or for no one to hear you scream.
He's here.
Liam whispered, getting out of the car.
He's waiting.
They set up an impromptu camp in the sturdiest of the surviving cabins. While Evanson set up motion sensors and Hayes tried to calibrate a satellite transmitter, Ava and Liam were left alone.
How are you feeling?
She asked, looking at him with concern.
No headaches? After all this?
No,
He replied.
and it was the truth. Quite the opposite. It's quieter now. Before, his voice was a flash, an explosion in my head. Now it's like a river, a constant, calm flow. I just know where to go.
It's incredible.
She shook her head.
Her eyes held not just scientific interest, but genuine awe. You've become an interface, a living bridge.
I became someone who hears an echo.
He corrected her. Their eyes met. An unspoken understanding hung between them. They were now connected not just by circumstance, but by this secret. A secret larger than both of them. That night, Liam woke Ava. He was sitting on his cot, his eyes glowing in the dark.
He's calling. We need to go to the mine.
They slipped carefully out of the cabin, not waking the soldiers. The wayfarer led Liam like an invisible wire. They circled the chapel and descended an overgrown slope. To the black, gaping maw of the old mine entrance. The air from within smelled of dampness and ozone.
Are you sure?
Ava asked, switching on her flashlight. The beam was swallowed by the depth, revealing nothing.
Yes,
Liam said firmly, and he stepped forward. They walked for a long time, descending lower along old rails. The walls of the mine gradually changed. The rough stone gave way to polished, almost mirror-like surfaces. engraved with the same intricate patterns they had seen in the hangar. The air vibrated.
This isn't natural.
Ava whispered in awe, running her hand along the smooth wall.
This is machining. But with what technology?
At the end of the tunnel, they emerged into a vast cavern, and they froze in amazement. In the center of the cave stood an object. It resembled a crystal, but one assembled from light and shadow. It didn't reflect the light from their flashlight. It absorbed it, while itself emitting a soft glow. Around it, the now familiar geometric shadows danced.
Come closer.
The words sounded in both their heads simultaneously. The wayfarer's voice was louder and clearer here than ever before.
Is this an artifact?
Ava asked, unable to look away.
A portal. A point of contact. I cannot pass through it completely. My essence is incompatible with your reality without a conduit. But you can.
Liam felt his heart pound.
We can? Pass through? To where?
To where I am observing from. To see the world through my eyes. It is the only way to understand. To stop those who wish to tear the veil.
Ava looked at Liam, her face pale in the ghostly light of the crystal.
This is what I've read about in theories. An interdimensional bridge. Liam, it's dangerous. We don't know.
We don't know anything.
He interrupted her.
And that's exactly why we're here. He asked for help. He led us here. I trust him.
He held out his hand to her. His fingers were trembling, but his eyes burned with determination. Ava looked at his hand, then at the glowing crystal, at the shadows weaving infinitely complex patterns at her feet. She took a deep breath and took his hand.
Okay, together.
They stepped forward, into the light, and the world turned inside out. This was not travel through space, it was travel inward. They didn't fly through stars. They fell through layers of reality, like pages in a book. Colors that didn't exist, sounds that were more than just vibration. They saw the birth of galaxies and the ticking of a watch on a child's wrist simultaneously. It was staggering, beautiful, and terrifying. And then everything stopped. They stood on a plane of pure light. Infinity stretched around them. But it wasn't the darkness of space. It was a white, shining nothingness, filled with potential and silence. There was no up or down. Before them hovered an entity they could only vaguely perceive. It resembled a flowing, shimmering nebula, constantly changing shape. This was the Wayfarer, not a voice, not an echo, a whole consciousness.
You are here. You are safe. Your perception is limited, I know. But this is all I can do to not damage your minds. We see you.
Ava exhaled. Her voice sounded strangely loud in this soundless void.
You see a metaphor, an image your brain can process. My true form is inexpressible to you.
Liam was silent, overwhelmed. He felt not fear, but awe, and an infinite, all-encompassing sadness emanating from the being before them.
Why?
He finally asked.
Why did you make contact? Why me?
Because you were listening. Most of your kind shouts into the ether with your signals, your thoughts, your fear. You were silent. You listened to the silence. And in silence, one can hear more than in the loudest shout. You were a beacon in the noise.
The entity pulsated with a soft light.
Now you must see why I asked for help. Why your people must not activate the portal by force.
The space around them shifted. The white infinity was replaced by a vision. They saw their own planet, Earth. But not from space. They saw it as a tangled knot of threads, threads of time, probability, reality. They saw the black, spiky energy of Project Geryon, trying to pierce this knot to reach the Wayfarer. And they saw what would happen if it succeeded. The threads would begin to snap. Timelines would mix. The future would shatter into millions of conflicting possibilities, and the past would become full of holes, like a sieve.
The power they seek is not a weapon. It is the glue holding the fabric of reality together at the point of my observation. Their attempt to rip it out would be like cutting a load-bearing beam of the universe. I cannot stop it. My existence is passive. I can only observe and warn through you.
The vision faded. They were back in the white void. Liam and Ava stood, holding hands, stunned by the truth revealed to them. This wasn't a question of power or technology. It was a question of the survival of all existence.
Now you know. You must return and stop them at any cost.
The Wayfarer began to recede, its form dissolving into the radiance.
Find the keeper, the one who has always known, in the place where water falls from the sky onto the stones of the ancestors.
The light blinded them. They felt a rapid fall. Liam and Ava shuddered and opened their eyes. They were back in the cave, standing before the crystal, which now glowed with a steady, calm light. Their hands were still clasped. Tears streamed down Ava's cheeks. Liam felt an emptiness in his head, a quiet one, but no longer lonely. Now he knew. They turned silently and walked back through the tunnel. At the mine entrance, an anxious Hayes was waiting for them, his rifle raised.
Where were you? You vanished. I was about to send the whole team after you.
Liam looked at him. His gaze held all the gravity of what they had just experienced.
Major, we were there, we saw, and we know what we have to do.
He looked at Ava for confirmation. She nodded, her eyes shining with resolve.
Project Garyon doesn't just need to be stopped.
She said quietly.
It needs to be destroyed, and we know how to do it.
Above them, through a break in the clouds, stars shone. Silent witnesses. Their silence was now full of meaning.